able to combo with his front line and try and blow somebody up. You know, I think for DFM, that was a close game, though. I don't think you want to read too far into it. There were a lot of things that you could have done better to try and win that game. Refresh your mental state, head into game 2, now on blue side for DFM.
Mumu getting a ban away. The first adaptation for Detonation Bogus Me, taking sales off his most played support of the tournament.
Yeah, makes sense. You don't like how well that worked for them in the lane phase, and then even in the mid to late game, some very good team fights from him.
Kai'Sa ban again. I really like this ban actually from Loud. Had it in game 1, repeating it here on the red side in game number 2. I think it has been one of Viewpoint's best champions, at least it has shown in the tournament so far. As you said, like Caitlyn's presence has been relatively high, but her win rate hasn't actually been all that good the few times she has gotten through and gotten picked. So perhaps a champion that's not as good as advertised, maybe something where when other teams come in and start playing it, we'll kind of figure it out.
Springbucks champion?
Maybe, as Maka has banned away as well. That's going to leave Azir open once again. This I do like, by the way. Yaharong Azir looked amazing in game 1.
Yeah, how insanely ahead he was on farm, the fact he got the kills, got the 6 items very quickly, got enough gold to sell and pick up a death cap at 6 items. Obviously, you had a great game if that's the case, but just needs a little bit more teamfight execution around him. Robo grabbing the Aatrox, which I believe was banned in game 1.
Yes, it was.
Nice trade for the side of Loud here. You give up Azir for Aatrox Hecarim. Most teams are going to take that, I think.
Absolutely. So it seems like Loud using their red side well, but DFM are prioritizing their mid laner for their early picks. Sejuani with Maokai banned is going to be the tank jungler of choice for Steel once again. Did look quite good actually in the early game especially. He was the one kind of bailing out the few holes in DFM's early game where they were falling behind.
Steel was the kind of bridge to that mid to late game. It's unfortunate that Smite's not go his way, but it's worth noting his lane ganks were absolutely disgusting, always catching Loud out. This time on the Sejuani again, very happy with that. Evi's Gnar, good. It feels like for DFM, they're basically saying, yeah, we lost that last game, but we didn't do anything really wrong beyond the bot lane.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here as well. Seraphine gonna get locked in. Could be a Azir for Tinones, could be a Brands champion, could be a sales champion.
I'll say something controversial.
I'm ready.
I like Seraphine comps.
Same.
I know people don't like Seraphine the champion, and I can understand where that comes from, especially Skarner enjoyers. I know they changed lore. We never forget. But I do like the way her comps play. I enjoy watching Deathball comps, especially enabling. She does have a lot of sustain and like lame healing up of people. Those are the Deathball comps I don't like poke Deathball comps where it's about zone control. A lot of times though she does combo best with melee topside. You can bounce your ult through and actually proactive Deathball comps. So even though she is a little lame, I do like what she enables. We'll have to see if they ban out the Swain, a very common champion to pair with it. Senna was not banned out. Maybe this is just Tinones grabbing it. I do believe he plays it a fair bit. Maybe I'm trolling. Maybe that was somebody else. No, he has 4 games of Seraphine.
There you go.
I'm not trolling.
We did also see this into Azir specifically, which, like, if you cast your mind back to something like Xerath, there is some, like, legacy on matchup understanding where you could see where having a long-range caster might be good against Azir. I don't think it actually lines up to, like, smash the lane or anything, but no. I get the theory.
Your Q and your E are long enough range that you're rarely in Q poke auto range from the Azir. He can, of course, scoop in and try and kill you. There is that option, but for the most part, the lane phase is fairly straightforward, especially through the first 6 levels. But not too much of a surprise if they do end up moving that down to the bot side.
Which they will. Galio locked. Oh, well. I guess could have Galio support. We'll hold our horses, but you can see the ball that Loud are trying to put together here.
Yeah, so I was actually wrong. I was not looking close enough at the graphic. It's actually Brant who has the 4 games. But their columns started to blend together because they played so many champions. Brant did have that game that ended up getting away from them where he missed that critical ultimate earlier on in the tournament, but I like him going back to it here. Most likely his. We have the Galio locking for Tinones, kind of comboing with that dive identity, and DFM taking a very safe bot laner, knowing that there is a lot of dive coming their way. Tristana has been on the fringe of the meta, but every time I see it, it's taken in good situations where you have the ability to kind of kite out melee comps and then re-engage and jump back in. Very strong lane phase as well with a lot of all-in threat if you're able to make it through kind of any over-aggressive matchups. But even then, I really like the Tristana pick here.
Yeah, Yumi ban, Caitlyn ban, so no options there. Instead, Leona and Tristana. And gonna round things out with, we'll see. Assuming it's Brand on Seraphine, likely Galio mid, it is gonna be a support, and Seos is gonna go ahead and take Alistar here.
Alistar coming in. All right, some more engage options for Seos. Looked very good last game as one of the primary engage tools here. 4 meatballs and a Seraphine.
Correct.
The enemy team, almost the exact same identity. just a little less early game laning focus in the bot side of the map. You still have that as maybe your most proactive lane. Obviously, Leona set up, comboing with jumping in Tristana, Malphite ults from the Tristana. We'll have to see. Obviously, you have the Sejuani. Steel had a very proactive early game as well. Maybe you can change these lanes up again, but otherwise, this looks like just team fighting.
Yep.
You have technically split push options with the Gnar and the Aatrox and whatnot, but realistically, this is mostly team fighting. The Galio does not have an obvious lane that he is setting up like a Camille or anything like that, so most likely more about these neutral objective fights, which matches what we saw in the previous game, where it really did just come down to team fight execution.
Yeah, I think not too surprising given what we've seen already. Teams certainly love to scrap. When exactly in the game they choose to fight has been slightly earlier for Loud generally and slightly later for Detonated Focus Me generally. But again, seems like it's going to be a pretty protracted series, especially given the length of game number 1. So we'll see how things shuffle around. Croc is the other person. I guess we kind of shuffled roles around a little bit here in this game. I think for Detonation Focus Me, their comp is largely the same this time around, with bottom lane just having some like aesthetic changes. It's, Udapon on a late game-ish marksman. Croc, Hecarim versus Maokai and Tinones on Galio versus Akali is very different.
Very, very different for Loud. Yes, the DFM comp largely plays the same way. Loud does still mostly focus on team fighting. You do have a lot of backline dive, which is kind of how their previous comp played, but the champions themselves extremely different, and no bot lane for brands to just kind of drop an MF ult.
And as a reminder, feel free to link your League account with Prime Gaming. You can receive free in-game content and scoop up them digital goods. Always some good stuff you can pick up for free.
Digital goods? How many digital goods have you gotten? I heard there's been good digital goods so far. Good drops.
I scoop up goods relatively frequently. In fact, actually when I get home, I'll do it because then I'll remember. This is why things like this are important, so I can be reminded.
Everyone tweet at Pastry Time and tell him, don't forget your digital goods.
Yeah, actually, please do that. I will accept your don't forget your digital goods tweets with open arms, as Udapon has quite a stylish emote here, being flashed in front of the enemy duo lane.
Oh, the kaboom from Seosh.
That's good. There's some panache behind that one.
Yeah, obviously giving a shout out to the most infamous game Brazil has probably ever played in League of Legends on the global stage, destroying, I believe it was Alliance's hopes and dreams.
It was. Same mid laner too.
Tinones
was there in 2014. Here again now in 2022. Looking to try and get one step closer with the rest of the squad. We'll have to play one more best of 5 to continue on at Worlds. It is unfortunately against RNG, who are absolutely fearsome, especially in that situation, but we'll talk about that tomorrow because they're not there quite yet, and I don't think we're going to get there for a while.
No, if last game was any indication, we have 2 more very close games at worst. At best, a full crazy-ass 5-game series ahead of us. Here we go, the tri-lane look. Somewhat uninteractive lane phases early on. It is hard for DFM's bot lane to find an all-in that will stick. Even if you get on top of the Seraphine, it's very easy for the pull. Yep, just perfectly timed, Harp. Thank you for illustrating that back to me. It is very hard to actually kill Seosh as long as, Brand as long as Seosh is standing on top of him. Mid lane is mostly about Galio trying to shove and roam around. That's where you're going to see more action more than the lane itself. And then top side, obviously, there's the Q minigame that Evie has to play where you don't want to get tippered by Robo. Get knocked off and then maybe get an all-in threat, but early on in the lane phase, that's usually not enough damage quite yet until you get Eclipse or something. Robo might have that option. Until then, usually Gnar is able to control the lane phase.
Yeah, especially in the mini form, you don't want to get caught, but if you can keep him at arm's length, you're generally okay. It's kind of been Gnar's identity since he was released as a champion.
I remember when Gnar came out.
Yes.
Everyone was like, this champ is way too random to see competitive because of the transformation timing. And I feel like every time that is the feedback that you give, that, oh, this is too weird to see competitive play, this kind of stuff. Eventually, the OTPs figure it out. People begin to play it enough. He was also just a disgusting stat stick on that transformation that eventually people start picking him up. But yeah, it's been a staple of the top lane meta forever now. And pretty well designed, the fact that you have these different windows. Melee champions love playing into him in the sense that you have this kill threat when he's mini, but a very hard lane phase to get to that point where you have this kill threat on him. Things like Aurelia and Camille are taken in, but you have to survive early on. It's a very cool champion to follow the matchups for.
Good dynamics. Also, give me Yasuo. That's all my feedback on Gnar as far as top lane goes.
You play the Yasuo side of that matchup?
I do.
I'm too bad to do that.
It's a fun time. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be enjoyable. As Branson Seos lining up, getting pushed in right now. Not too surprising, I suppose. But again, Brance and Seos, I don't think will be a fixture of early game aggression in the same way they were in the last game here. Although Croc trying to make it happen here in the bottom half of the Rift. At least dipping down, making sure there's no enemy jungler in sight. But we know, and you all know at home, that Steel is pathing towards the top half of the Rift. So he's not going to be anywhere near the bottom lane, and I think the pace of play is going to continue for most of this laning phase, unless there's some oopsies made in individual plays.
Yeah, definitely the case. I think Loud power spikes right at 6 with playmaking a little bit harder. Galio and Hecarim, obviously, if you can get a devastating charge in behind people or onslaught, whatever abilities are called, combo with the Galio ultimate on top. I know QWER, go in there. And actually, you know what? I was watching one of those quizzes that get done about ability names. Hold on, I don't have time to talk about it. We're getting some scrapping.
Seos in trouble. Once again, I say they wouldn't go aggressive, but perhaps I'm a liar, not intentional, but Yutapon could be the target, does have his flash, doesn't have his cleanse, turn our attention on the Harp. Good little sidestep there to not get rooted up by the incoming double cast Seraphine E, or A-OK on the Detonation Focus Me side.
You can see how difficult it is for Loud to actually make plays happen. That was Seos committing his flash to get on top of Yutapon there, but a very easy cleanse, jump back, gets on the other side of Hecarim, and with no ult available, like I was saying, it's actually very difficult to get the knockback on the right side if the enemy's ready for it. Even at 6, of course, there'll be the self-healing for Tristana's ultimate, but at least with this tempo, you can see Croc trying to get some counter jungling in here.
Oh, that's brutal. Steel got it, even though he didn't have Smite. Croc smited it just barely the wrong way. And Steel gonna go ahead and take that, which is pretty amusing. Steel there popping back though, gonna take his control ward out. And Tinone's kind of getting things done. We did see this, by the way, from Tinone in the last game on Akali, was trying to push and roam pretty often as Yaharon farmed up a storm, which seems to be the story this game. I think the notable difference is that Galio significantly easier and to be successful on your roams than Akali.
Also significantly worse at 1v1 solo kills later on.
Yes.
So I like this clash of styles that we're seeing. Yaharon has been beasting Champions Queue, no longer the #1 player, but for a period of time was, right when it opened up for Worlds, showing that he is a monstrous teamfight threat and will be topping the farm charts this game as well as he just did in the previous game, if this is any indication how it's going to go. Looks like the potential 3v3 in the river here.
Battle Crab, no. Battle in the bottom lane instead. Croc gonna start it off onto Steel. Again, no flash for the Alistar. Makes him both a big target and tough to be a big threat. So Loud gonna have to leave together and try and get this crab perhaps. Steel's looking to try and yoink it away.
Smite fight living rent-free in his enemy's head. Let's see if he can do it.
Croc this time, the only one with Smite figures it out.
Yeah, much easier to get the Smite secure when your enemy doesn't have it.
I think that happened with the Raptor, and I do want it to happen again, but Croc though riding the ship, Mental back in form. What were you on about with trivia shows? I was very curious actually.
Oh, just that most pro players are terrible with ability names.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Like that, you know. A lot of them never even consider it. Same with me, sadly, as a caster. I knew better than they did, and I didn't think I was going to do that well when I was playing super long. The other thing I was looking up recently was the head-to-head between Japan and Brazil.
Ooh.
Despite a fair amount of tournaments, they've only played 10 times overall. CB LOL winning the head-to-head right now, 6-4 over Japan. As we see, let's see if anything happens here. They're trying to get back onto the Yutapon, doesn't get the double toll.
Oh, no ulti, no flash, and I don't think much hope left here for Seos. Does get the punt out onto Yutapon, but first blood all the same as Brant. Stunned up and in trouble, but here comes the level 6 Hecarim to try and make the difference. Should be an easy counter kill, and indeed will be.
Alrighty, Croc covering the bot lane play. I liked it from DFM, trying to get aggressive onto the bot side, punish Sales for having no ultimate down there, and they do get the kill, but it took a little bit too long. Gave Croc enough time to get in there, get his first kill. Hecarim completed the movement speed of the lucidity boost right away, helped him get in range for that.
Means Herald though for Detonation Focus Me should be an easy take and will be. Every plenty of control top, plenty of control mid for Yaharon. And we'll go ahead and snag that up as Croc continues to get ahead. And honestly, if anyone was going to want gold early on, it is kind of this Hecarim.
He is very happy to get that first blood. We'll see if he goes more carry-oriented. It's been very much, like I said, the topic of conversation online for quite a bit now. We've seen the Zon build. People don't like that full tank Chemtech option. We'll see if they go something else here. Whoa.
Heavy Mega now. This should be a sitter, and indeed will be. It's plenty of people in the mid lane. Make it 4. for Detonation Focus Me, and 0 left for Loud in the jungle.
That was not a very respectful attempt there. You just gave up complete top side of the map over to DFM. When you found that kill in the bot side, they went top. You heard the Rift Herald go down. You have to know that they're probably in the area there. Just been a red buff steal, and Croc did not try and scout it out with the team, didn't wait for any backup to come, and as a result gets dropped. The Rift Herald instantly getting used mid to funnel some more gold into Yaharong right out the gate.
Be where the money goes. Yutapon also picking up that kill means he has some extra as well. So money going in the right place for Detonation Focus Me. They're up about 1,300 gold in this early game. As you can see, the 2 carries and the jungler top of the gold charts right there for DFM.
Feeling very good for DFM. Again, Yaharong absolutely monstrous, cresting the 100 CS mark pre-10 minutes. Only one in the game close, the rest hovering around 80. Final thing I was going to say is just this is the first best of 5 between these regions that they've ever played, which is very cool. I always feel like you have these rivalries start cropping up at different points in time. For a while, I forget who it was. It was TCL and someone else had a big rivalry. I believe Oceania had a big rivalry with us before. You know, it's just cool to see these kind of developments, and DFM being arguably one of the best, as we see. Hold on, gank coming in here.
Ulti ready for Croc, just coming back
Has
up
the angle. Gonna hold it instead. Already the wave crashing in, escorts that one in. Moves on to the Dragon now, most likely for Loud. I don't know if DFM are gonna want to contest this one. Yaharong is in base, just picked up the Leandries there. Might get there in time to contest this. It is a very slow Dragon take.
On we go. Loud gonna try and pick a fight there onto Hop. Hop gonna flash away. Leona decently tanky. Onslaught of Shadows committed though. Leona ulti stuns onto 2, but the kill's all the same. Gets given over to Brance.
Uh-oh, Yutapon needs to jump away here to be safe. Overextension by DFM in that situation. I understand that Harp wanted to kind of slow the pace of the Dragon down, give time for Yaharong to collapse with his mythic item completed. Only one in the game with it so far, makes him an option, but now they're fighting odd man numbers.
They have started again. Steel cannot be slow, but he can certainly be killed if Loud want to keep pursuing. They give it up though, back to the Dragon we go. It's taking a little while. Harp actually going to be back out on the Rift, and again, Yaharong with the mythic completed very early is a threat here.
Yeah, but Robo does have his teleport first. Evies is still coming up. It just came up for Robo. We'll see if that means Loud wants to stick around, thinking that they have an advantage in this fight, but instead they're just going to allow this situation to reset. So while Harp dies, it did buy enough time for DFM to collapse and now get the Dragon control for themselves.
1,000 gold up. And now going to be a Dragon up as well. Harp's going to go ahead, see if he can't scoop some vision out, but looks like unfortunately Loud, even after that kill, with the back and forth on the poke, have to give it up.
I think that without the Hecarim ultimate there, it's just a little too difficult to actually contest that one. They're very happy to just go back, pick up the Mythic for Seraphine. She was sitting on quite a bit of gold. Croc wants to keep his farming up, doesn't want to hover around a Dragon for a minute and a half, doing nothing, not getting any gold, so very happy to back out of that situation and keep working towards his own Mythic. Looking like he's going for the Triforce. Maybe? Let's see.
Yaharong hurts, by the way. Just poking out both the enemy mid laner and jungler, continuing to apply pressure on these plates. Yaharong even taking out the blast cone as well. So just continuing to deal as much siege damage as he can as Yutapon revisits the bot side. Has his Kraken Slayer done nice and early. As you mentioned, Brant's also with his mythic done. So bot lane carries feeling just fine on both sides, but Detonation Focus Me feels like they're building up a pretty nice mid-game lead here.
Yeah, the fact that they already have 3 turret plates broken mid, Yaharong is pretty fed. 5,000 gold almost. 1,000 up the next closest on the enemy team.
Trying to get him killed. Oh, everyone goes over the top. Seos actually joining over after the Emperor's Divide, but ulti out of Tinones is not going to get a knock-up because Yaharong flashes away. Harp now re-engaging. Good little sidestep down there for Seos dodge. Zipper can't dodge the Zenith play, and that's going to be a kill for Steel as a result. Follows up with the ulti out of Sedge, but no one getting frozen in place this time long enough to get a second kill.
Smothering gameplay by DFM there. Well played by Yaharong to shove him over the wall and then get the follow after with his own shuffle. Galio tried to collapse, but just not enough peel available. DFM get that kill. They also had shove in bot lane, collapsing first. Much harder for Seraphine to kind of follow these plays.
And kind of to your point in draft, before we started this game, obviously Loud getting picked off a little bit in the side lanes, losing some of these exchanges. Loud do need to play mostly 5v5, or at least 4v4, to get things going with this comp. Have not been doing it in this early game. It's been just kind of some scrappy skirmishes here and there.
Yeah, some ganks, some skirmishes. I feel like based on what we saw the last game, 1 to 2,000 gold leads don't mean that much.
Yeah.
Evie is able to get out of that one, but it does feel like at any moment a team fight could suddenly go their way. Seos finds a big flank. Robo pops off in the side lane again. Here we'll see that kill. Nice idea trying to get the Hex Flash. I think he wanted to have Yaharong face check him and then instantly get the pulled headbutt, but had to commit the headbutt pulled combo instead to actually get on top of him. Yaharong able to flash out of the Galio ultimate, and then here harp on the first move just a little bit closer. Able to focus him down when that Alistar ultimate times out. Seal as well just saying, hey, get out of here. Pushing him back.
Not afraid to press the ulti button, which you always like to see. Has the Mythic done as well. So 2 minutes till the next dragon is up. As you can see, it's 4 turret plates to 1. Most of that gold again with the Rift Herald popped mid by Steel earlier, going to Yaharong, is continuing to scale up in this game. But as you mentioned, given the pace, given what we've seen so far, just in the opening game, it doesn't feel like a few thousand gold, which is where Detonation Focus Me find themselves, with enough of a lead to make a big enough dent in the early game. Croc starting up this Herald here as Robo's going to spot Steel.
Robo forcing Steel out of his own jungle, saying, hey, get away from that Rift Herald. It's our team's. We'll see if they want to contest. It doesn't look like they want to. Very happy to have Yutapon just farming plates on their own down the bot side of the map. So Loud should get this uncontested while they funnel gold into the Tristana, who's already fairly far ahead. I don't know how many of the turret plates body got, at least 3 of them. And now they're going to grab bot turret.
Pretty nice there as Herald does get taken off. But Detonation Focus Me growing that gold lead closer to 3k now. So just 1,000 after I last mentioned it. As bottom side, Brant's in trouble. Seraphine, not that easy to defend on your own. And Yutapon with a stylish cleanse to finish off the kill, even through Encore. As Robo now going to be the target. Harp going in, but a little too aggressive. Robo going to find the punish.
Here's Croc.
Croc now zooming on in. Onslaught of Shadows popped. Oh, he still followed over the wall. Very nicely done onto Yutapon. And now Seos in there as well. Finds the trample stun. Evie about to transform. But the little Gnar that could is going to try and get away. Even the big Gnar that could may not be able to, as there's the Hecarim charging on in. Tower there is ready for Evie, but the chain is going to find that kill for Croc.
Alrighty, Loud punished the aggression by DFM. It was a first kill onto Brant. That worked out quite well, but Robo's TP came in, and they did not have enough resources left to finish off this Aatrox, who has gone Gore Drinker, very tanky in these scraps, able to survive that and then give time for the rest of Croc's teleport with the empowered recall of Rift Herald to get down there in time. Also finish off Stridebreaker. I saw the pickaxe, which made me think, okay, probably not going the Triforce, but we still, I feel like we haven't seen it yet. I could be wrong, but I don't think we've seen it. I was hoping to finally see a Triforce Hecarim. Not the case.
Robo instead going to do battle with Steel, but there are friends on the way for Detonation Focus Me. Yaharong looking for a little bit of extra gold. Doesn't leave his lane often. Will happily leave it for a kill here, and indeed will be gifted one by his teammates.
Robo giveth and Robo taketh. Gave that kill back after a very nice collapse by him in this play right here. Nice commit. I love just the flash EQ ultimate. Finish him off. Blown up here. And then when Robo comes in, then you get the buffer W out of here and their own teleport coming in. It looks good, but Harp has no defensive cooldowns left up. So just blown up there without his W on, and now Croc shows up for this 2v2. Ultimate still available. Seosh as well, collapsing from the side before Yaharong can get there. Means that there's no way for them to actually win out on this play, and it's a long chase down sequence to finish off Evie.
Absolutely savage Hecarim combo there, by the way, finding himself over the wall to follow the flash of Yutapon as Evie did everything he could to live. Unfortunately was not enough as Brant's still talking from the fountain. You love to see it.
I love that mentality. Yeah, I just got killed, but look, my team's here to back me up. Come for me again. See what happens.
And that Detonation Focus Me still almost 3,000 gold ahead, but Tino's going to cut that down to size, taking out Loud's first turret of this game. And we'll call it close once again here. Although the difference certainly, and it is a pretty big one, from game 1 to game 2, is that the first 2 dragons have not been split between these 2 teams. It is smooth sailing to the soul for Detonation Focus Me.
Yeah, despite that little hiccup in the bot lane, they're still far ahead in gold. 2,000 gold lead. They've had it for almost the gold lead the entire game. Slightly growing, not as quickly as you might want, but again, in theory, I would think the Azir becomes a bigger threat late game. Obviously, there is still strong scaling on the side of Loud, but it is mostly predicated on like a wombo combination of getting a big Fear, a big Galio ult, a large charm from Brant's, and less about kiting out the situation in an extended team fight. That should go DFM's way, but I said that last game, and that was not how that game went.
Let's see if Loud can find the wombination necessary.
Wombination.
To take out Detonation Focus Me. Have been very tenacious with their team fighting as Loud take over the enemy jungle here. Evie is the target. Meganar, tricky to get, but no flash has the ulti though. The CC's there, 3 into the wall for the stun. But Tinotir as well. Good flash over the wall, but the stun is very quick out of half, I have to think. And now the damage is there, but Robo actually going to find the first kill. The TP coming on in, but they peel back. Tino gets his way out of there. Yaharon going to force the bait away, but Unipon going absolutely off, and now they're pinted between Dead Nation Focus Beast, 2 different carries. Yaharon and Unipon looking to feast upon their enemies. The Unipon finds a double, and Yaharon tidies up the 3rd.
I thought for sure that fight was going to go Loud's way. It was initially such a nice collapse, a monstrous ultimate by Brance, but they never finished off the turret behind them, which gave them a really awkward angle to kite out. Yaharong also teleported there, and then you're sandwiched between this Tristana and Azir, neither one of them being the ones that were dropped by Loud. Answered back by DFM, able to find a number of kills there. Gold lead growing even further now, and 4 kills onto Udapon, looking much better than the Caitlyn game.
Yeah. Both Yaharong and Udapon looking good here as we watch this fight again. I thought Evie was not the one you wanted to pick off, but Loud certainly proved me wrong at the start of this.
Yeah, I love the initial 3-man knockback there. Everyone has to commit to kill him, though, and this was a nice stun by Harp, delaying the taunt by the Galio, buying a little bit more time for this team, which is critically what they needed. It wasn't even the teleport, actually, that Yaharon came in on. Came in on that minion. Ballsy teleport to also then shove them all underneath the turret, bait this out even longer. And now, where do you go? You can't run up the lane. We're fighting again.
Yeah, well, kind of looks like the same situation, but Croc gonna have to kite his way out. Sniped out by the Solar Flare, and Unipon's on a killing spree, looking to hop in for more. Robo gonna get stunned up by the Sedge, and it is starting to fall apart for Loud here as Dead Nation Focus Me want to equalize in the series, and Evie will find a 2nd kill. And there's more. The Encore out onto Seos. Through Seos, I should say. Sorry, onto Yaharong as the target, of course, but Yaharong lives, and that is bad, bad news for the Brazilians as Yaharong on a rampage. Unipon zooming in, and it's looking like an ace. Brant's the only one left alive.
DFM bouncing back in game 2. They win the fight in the bot lane. Immediately afterwards, pick another skirmish in the top side, breaking the battle lines of Loud, who want that very coordinated attack. When it gets scrappy, you start getting these Udapon resets. He's now 5-2-2. Yaharong 5-0-3. They're going to grab the Baron on the back end of that. This looks like a very clean win coming their way.
Spicy little replay here again. Loud is trying to clear vision, and they are not allowed.
A lot of the ults, I don't think we're back up quite yet. The ultimate from Brance here was not available. Crocs came up, but he used it defensively, ended up in the pit, still flanked by the rest of the team. So sticky. The side of DFM is when they start getting resets, they keep chasing you down. Udapon able to get that kill. Here, they're like, all right, well, we got to get something back, because otherwise this Baron's going to go down. So I do think going here made sense if they could blow up Yaharon, but they just don't have enough damage with Tinones, Brance, and Seosh there. So he's able to stay alive during that one. That allows this chase down for DFM to collapse from the people on the top side. Those 2 kills also going over to Yaharong. That Banshee's Veil picked up early was coming up big again. Yeah,
Udapon also got flash at the end of that out of Brant as well. Might have gotten the kill, actually. Explosive Charge and Buster Shot doing a pretty significant chunk of damage, especially to the squishy Seraphine. So Dead Nation Focus Me. Red Bull Baron power play looking pretty nice already, plus 1,600 and counting, as they're looking to try and end this game a bit earlier than the last one.
It's looking a little cleaner. I was saying I didn't trust the 2,000 gold lead based off game 1, but DFM showing that they have recovered. This is how group stage went for them, to be fair. They got slammed by Loud on day 1, I believe it was. Getting absolutely exploded. Fastest game of the day that was. And now, same thing happens. Loud wins game 1. Much scrappier than that situation, but showing that they can adapt. They have so much experience on this roster for DFM. They have been together forever. And they're showing that they have what it takes in the best of 5.
Well, Dead Nation Focus Me pushing 2 lanes with the Baron up creeps. Still a minute 20 left, so a long protracted siege here as they're trying to find something, but the damage is absolutely disgusting out of Yaharong and Udapon. Looking to break open some things here. Seos almost burning down even in Alistar ulti to Leandries.
Yeah, Yaharong not able to get the kill. Gives Loud the ability to head back into base and heal up. They will lose an inhibitor for it, but critically no one is dead, meaning that they cannot finish this game off. Ooh, teleport flank coming in.
Ooh, Robo, very ambitious play. Tino's gonna join you, but maybe just gonna feed an extra one over. It's buy one, get one free. Here for Dead Nation, Focus Me, but the shutdown is found onto Udapon. How did Croc locate that angle? The Brazilians just keep on doing it. They're so tenacious, they're so chaotic. Are you kidding me?
Just when I'm ramping up for DFM, saying they have this game. Loud are not going to go quietly. They find that TP flank and the Galio combo with Robo, giving them the ability to blow up Utapon while the rest of the team collapses. Gonna stop this dragon stacking from DFM critically. Get a big influx of gold going back in their pocket. This TP flank by Robo, DFM saw it coming. That's why they backed off that inhibitor. They're saying, all right, let's hunt this guy down. But the collapse available because of the Galio. Hecarim come flying in as well. This big taunt onto Utapon, easily focused down here while the rest of the team closes in on him. And then the backline is surprisingly tanky for Robo with that Gore Drinker, as well as just Galio inherently. Yaharong does not quite have the damage to 1v3 that situation, and they're able to collapse in time.
All right, I'm going to stop doubting Robo in mid to late game situations. How about that? New rule for this series.
I don't know how far behind he needs to be to not be able to win team fights for his team. That was another monstrous backline access play for him.
I'm not well versed enough in the Brazilian community to know if that's just a thing that Robo is known to do. But if it isn't, I'd love to make it one.
That's
the Robo moment if I've ever seen one.
There's been a lot of talk about this team where Brant came in, this split, the young rookie in summer, making the run. Oh, Tinones, we didn't
say that, don't worry about it.
It's only Azonia, it's not a broken stopwatch. The crowd loves it. Oh boy. So Brant in the playoff run stepped up massively for this team. I believe they were 4th in the regular season, then made that run in playoffs to represent Brazil at Worlds here. But during that time, Brant's got a lot of attention. It was an 80 carry meta, and people were very excited about this young kid popping off. But a lot of people would argue that it was Robo and Tinones, the veterans on the team, who did a lot of the carrying, especially in the regular season, to put them in a position. And you can see it here a little bit today. Yes, Brant is very good. Yes, he can have pop-off moments, but the core of the team is a lot on Robo, especially carrying after multiple Worlds appearances.
All right, well, no Baron, but still the siege starting for Detonation Focus. He's still up like 6K. So did throw away, well, actually, I would say not even throw, did lose some of their lead to Loud's great play and Robo's very ambitious but successful teleport. But we're resetting here, minute 20 till Baron. Next Dragon's up in 3 minutes. We've stopped the quick soul. We're trying to look for picks here in our own jungles. Detonation Focus Me continue to sit in there and try and bait Loud in, but Loud not overcommitting here.
This is a game where DFM got enough of a lead through that early and mid game that you can have an oopsie like that. Last game, it was back and forth the whole time. You couldn't really afford a big mistake like that. Here, they have built up enough of a buffer that they're still in pretty good control of this game. It's just delayed what felt like the game being over at 30 minutes. The fact that Loud protected the inhibitor, they stopped the dragon stacking. Yes, it's going to be very difficult for them still. DFM will have priority in mid lane and pretty much every lane to go ahead and fall back to dragons or barons as they come up. We'll see how much DFM wants to bait this objective. I would like to see them continue to play aggressive. We talked about them playing slow, not in terms of game time, but in terms of pace of game. I want them to keep it up because, yes, that was a sick flank by Loud, but you do have the tools to get on top of this Baron, force it down, force Croc to be ulting into the pit for, contesting the objective versus going for kills. And that is a huge cooldown to have to spend in that way. Now, I would like to see DFM keep their foot on the gas pedal here when the Baron spawns in 10 seconds.
I will say, though, I think the one thing I would never want to give a team like Loud from what we've seen in their play
is a Baron int?
Momentum. Oh. Definitely don't want to int the Baron away. That one's certainly true. But I feel like as soon as this team's like, wait a second, we can do it, they really start feeling themselves. They're definitely a team that feels that they play to the crowd. Love being on stage as Brant's maybe going to get slow but not stunned, and here's the counter engage, but Loud not going to overcommit. Teleports in, ulti finds Robo, but he dashes out to safety. Tinones here maybe lying in wait. Is there a counter engage? Robo finds a knock, my goodness, Croc's in there because Tinones is getting delivered to the back line. Loud have found a team by Brant has found Yaharong. That is a critical loss as Utapon getting exhausted, but the shots them away. Steal now low, but bouncing around in the back is Evie, who is likely going to be forfeit here as well. Robo has found yet another angle as Loud have found another team fight win, and maybe it's not done, but even if it is, the Baron is on the table.
All right, we're gonna have to turn the tables from game one. Steel must live up to his name now and find a way to stop this Baron for going in the favor of Loud. 3v5. Seosh looking for the big flank. Don't know if he was spotted as he was wrapping around there.
It's the Cloud Rift long con wraparound situation. This has to be a turn and burn. I don't think they want to commit to the Baron. They're trying to bait them in a little bit longer. Utapon's the target! barely missing, gets stunned up by Harp, but still we keep on going. Harp trying to Zenith Blade out, using the enemies as springboard to exit the fight, but unfortunately, it's just a quick trip back to the fountain as Brant's on a killing spree.
On the wrong side of the map.
Steal is going to stun them, maybe just going to fight straight through the front. Yaharong is back here, he's teleported through. Uniform's still alive, the carries are still alive. But Detonation Focus, Seos maybe going to die here as Robo has dove in once again. Yaharong does indeed get that kill, and now Robo is left alone. He's going to be forced to flash out to safety. A wild exchange back and forth.
DFM survived what could have been an absolutely deadly situation. I believe Harp had a critical stun on Seos right when he went into combo onto Yutapon, allowed that chase down sequence, and on the tail end of that,
this teleport?
This is a teleport to hopefully save the game, but no chance. Baron down for DFM, and now Robo's on the wrong side of the map.
I said I wouldn't doubt Robo. Goes into stasis, here comes Brand, so we have an encore, yes we do. Let's it go, Robo's still fighting, but Yaharong takes him out. Yaharong go the target, but Yutapon peels back. Croc now gonna die likely as well as Brand cannot support his teammates for long enough. And this time it's a touch too far for Loud as Detonation Focus Me get the Baron +2.
Loud getting a little desperate to try and stop that Baron from going down. I saw the angle that they thought Robo can teleport in, maybe they can stop it. Here's this initial play, they go into Branch, but the problem for me here is that Evie is not really ready to teleport. His Meganar is timing out right when they go in. He's gonna come into this fight exhausted as Mini, which means it's very difficult for DFM to win this like front-to-back team fight when all the ultimates are available. So right away, nice ultimate by Croc there to get the Galio set up, blow up Yaharong, the strongest member on the side of DFM, and then critical buster shot, 3-man ult by Yutapon to self-peel himself there to keep him alive, and they needed all 3 members of DFM alive to stop that Baron from going down when Loud turned onto it.
Yeah, Buffett out of the Everfrost that did clip him as well, so very nicely navigated there by Yutapon to keep this game still up in favor of Detonation Focus. Once again, we're back with Baron. Once again, we're up a very significant amount of gold, but again, the game is dragging on, and I'm starting to feel like the gold doesn't matter as much as I think it does.
It matters in the sense of like, yeah, you have priority, yeah, you have a little bit more stats to hit your enemy with, but it does feel like at any moment, Loud can find a team fight here. If they can get onto Yaharong, just broke the Banshee's Veil, we'll have a timing window now. Croc on the flank.
Maybe revisiting top, but that's why they want to go. Yutapon gets out, Yaharong drifts away, and now the counter engage for Detonation Focus. Robo's found his way deep in enemy territory. They're going to peel and kill him though. And dive in goes Tinones, but that's just not enough. The encore is decent. Tinones into stasis, but Detonation Focus Me now with the momentum, now moving forward, should be pushing to an ace, should be pushing for the game. We have ourselves a series. Yutapon gonna find himself a quadra kill and a Nexus.
One little misstep in the mid-game doesn't stop DFM from bouncing back in game 2. They find the ace onto Loud. 31 minutes here for them to find the tie in the series, 1-1.
Only a triple for Yutapon at the end, but he'll take the 10 kills. A very nicely done Tristana game there. The carries this time. Coming up, Trumps for Detonation Focus Me, and a much cleaner look. One misstep it felt like, really, where Loud find that incredible angle to keep themselves back in the game. And Detonation Focus Me just took it in stride,